Some people don't cry because they are sad. They cry because something lands differently. A moment becomes heavier than expected. A sentence hits deeper than intended. A memory surfaces without warning. And suddenly, tears appear. Not loudly, not dramatically, but unmistakably. For people who cry easily, this moment often comes with confusion. Why am I reacting like this? Why can't I control it? Why does this happen to me? They don't feel weak, but they feel exposed. Somewhere along the way, we learn to associate tears with loss of control, with fragility, with embarrassment. We learned that crying should happen privately, quietly, preferably not at all. So when tears arrive without permission, without a dramatic reason, without a visible catastrophe, they feel wrong. But what looks sudden on the outside is rarely sudden on the inside. It is usually the end of a very long process. Crying is often seen as an emotional overflow, as if something spilled because it couldn't be contained. But this interpretation misses something important. People who cry easily are not overwhelmed by emotion. They are responding to meaning. Their nervous system doesn't react to volume. It reacts to depth, to implication, to tone, to what something represents, not just what it is. A small moment can carry the weight of many others, and the body responds accordingly. Crying is often mistaken as a failure of regulation, as if the nervous system has lost control. But in reality, tears are one of the most regulated responses the body has. They don't appear randomly. They don't arrive without reason. They arrive when the body calculates that holding is no longer safer than releasing. This is why people can endure years of pressure and cry over something small. Not because the moment was big, but because the capacity to hold finally ran out. For many people, emotional expression was not neutral growing up. It was risky. Being upset caused problems. Being sensitive caused tension. Being emotional made things worse. So the nervous system adapted. It learned to delay expression, to compress reactions, to stay alert instead of honest. That adaptation worked until it didn't. Because what is delayed does not disappear. It waits. People often say, "I don't know why this made me cry," but the body knows. It remembers dismissed disappointments, unspoken resentment, moments where nothing was said because saying something felt inconvenient. The mind minimizes, the body stores, and eventually it releases. Many people who cry easily don't identify as emotional at all. They identify as capable, responsible, reliable. They are the ones others lean on, the ones who stay calm in emergencies, the ones who manage stress without complaint, which is why their tears feel so contradictory. They don't match the image they have of themselves. But the contradiction is only visual. Strength does not eliminate emotional load. It often increases it. The nervous system releases only when it detects safety, privacy, distance, relief. That's why tears wait. They wait until the conversation ends, until the door closes, until no one is watching. Not because the person is dramatic, but because the system finally stands down. Tears are information. They signal meaning that wasn't processed earlier, emotion that didn't have space then. They are not a breakdown. They are a delayed response finally completing itself. There is a cultural preference for emotions that stay neat, contained, easily explained. Tears disrupt that preference. They don't ask for permission. They don't wait for justification. And that is why they are misunderstood. But tears are not chaos. They are order restoring itself. People who cry easily are often told they are too much, too sensitive, too emotional, too reactive. But what they really are is attuned. They notice what others overlook. They register nuance. They feel shifts before they become obvious. That sensitivity isn't excess. It's perception. Sometimes people cry even when nothing is wrong, No conflict, no loss, no visible reason. This confuses them the most. But these tears are often the safest ones. They happen when the system finally relaxes, when vigilance drops, when there is space. Crying does not mean something is wrong. It often means something is finally moving. It means the system is no longer frozen, no longer compressed, no longer bracing. For people who cry easily, the work is not to shut tears down. It is to create more moments where emotions are allowed earlier, before they need to spill. For a long time, people who cry easily don't trust their own reactions. They question them, downplay them, try to get ahead of them. They tell themselves, "This isn't a big deal. I shouldn't feel this strongly. I need to keep it together." But the nervous system doesn't respond to instructions. It responds to truth. And tears are often the body's way of saying, something here mattered more than you let yourself admit. Not every tear needs to be analyzed. Not every reaction needs to be justified. Sometimes the work is simply noticing that the response happened and letting it pass without judgment. For many people, healing doesn't come from crying less. It comes from trusting their internal signals more, from no longer treating emotion as an interruption, but as information. When tears are allowed earlier, when feelings are acknowledged before they pile up, they lose their urgency, they soften, and slowly the relationship with emotion changes, not into control, but into cooperation. Crying easily is not a flaw. It is not immaturity. It is not weakness. It is a nervous system that learned to survive quietly and now speaks through release. If you cry easily, nothing is broken in you. Something is honest. And sometimes that honesty comes out as tears.